So as you see, this is a relatively small and simple electrics board, so to speak. There are other alternatives, of course, other materials you can use, and size is a factor, of course. If you've got more space in a bigger van or more space in your cupboards, this can be 2 foot long if you like, 3 foot long. You know, just consider your layout of your components. That's the only real thing to take from this. You want to understand where your cables are coming in and where they're going out. It can be as complex as you like, of course, but providing, we'll show you shortly, but providing that all the cabling is managed correctly, you'll be just fine with no issues. So yeah, a simple little board that's going to be easily viewable for the customer, easy to maintain, and we'll show you pulling cable through, wiring it up, fixing it in place, and then we can look towards fitting the bed, getting the battery in, running the cabling that's necessary, going through the wall of the unit to complement this. So yeah, cheers. Alright, apologies for that. I thought I was filming, but I wasn't. So we have our panel prepared. We have the fixings to be able to secure the panel to the walls of the van. So what I'm doing now is pulling this cable through. This is for the 240 volt sockets. I can now pull this cable through, feed it in. I've measured to the furthest point that I need to make contact, which again, as you saw the other day, ended up being the earth bus bar. So I'll pull these cables back. These cables can be fed in. Better get the securing nut on first. These cables can be fed in. To the point, if I can see the blue sheathing from beneath, I'm happy that that is well inside our nut, so that can be secured down to give us that water, dirt, etc. prevention. Down comes our earth cable. That can be stripped. I'm happy with that. If you notice as well, I'm working with this outside the cupboard. I'm giving myself plenty of slack to be able to then put this back in all wired. For me to be able to wire this from within that tiny cupboard hole would be an absolute nightmare. So we'll strip our earth. And our ferrule print. Pinch that print down. Can now feed that down to the earth bus bar. terminal. Screwing down the earth. Now we know, with this being our 240 socket, we know our neutral goes up to our neutral bus bar and our earth feeds our breaker. So again, considering lengths, it's okay to leave a bit of slack, you know, that's not too much of an issue. What you don't want is half a foot of cable being wrapped around the back of your consumer unit. That's just not ideal. Feed in our ferrule. Group our ferrule. That can be fed into our breaker. And terminated. Solid. Neutral. Group our ferrule. So if you notice on the consumer unit also, all the positions are numbered, so you can actually write down 240 volt sockets, neutral, position 5, 240 volt sockets, earth strap, position 1. So there are means and ways. Okay, this is terminated in here now. The cable's secured down. It's protected. Inside we're complete. So when we feed in our electric hookup side, that will be coming from up the floor on the outside of this unit. I'll mark and position where this outlet is, drill through so the cable enters directly into here, and then that can be terminated to our main switch and our earth position. And likewise for our earth strap that's going to be connected to the chassis of our van. You know, I don't ever put an earth strap or a large earth strap to a screw in a wheel arch or inside of your thin metal work. I'll always aim to get it through the floor and into cleaned metal on the chassis itself. So a good earth position, any main chassis rail through the van, any seat bolt mounts, also consider those. Okay, so that's the 240 side covered for this part. also have our labelled 12 volt. I know this one is for a light that is for the kitchen plinth, so I can get this cable pushed through here, attach a ring terminal, screw it down, and likewise for the earth, push it through up to here, screw it down. Our main feeds for the earth and the live, they are coming from the battery that will be installed, the leisure battery that will be installed under the seat. So in this instance, our live will go from the positive terminal here to this side of the breaker, then we'll leave this side of the breaker through the van wall into our leisure battery. The earth strap will come down, be fixed, and again go through the wall of the camper's unit. Okay, we're now ready for our 12 volt side, terminating into our 12 volt fuse box. So because I'm using 2mm square cable, throughout our fans, 2mm square cable is our go-to. We rarely drop in size for your small 12 volt appliances. If everything is fused appropriately, it's not really a problem. So what we have are our blue ring terminals, of course blue being suited for 2mm up to 3mm cable. They can then be screwed and terminated into the 12 volt fuse box. I'm not too keen on the spade connections you can get, where you can just undo the screw, slide it in and screw back up. I'd much rather that the screw goes completely through an eyelet. So let's pull our first cable through and see what we're going to do. So this is the feed for our kitchen plinth lights that run across the bottom. What I first want to do is try and feed the red through and then the black. So I know I have enough length for our red terminal to be fixed, and our back. Strip these. And as I've said before, we do like to use a small piece of heat and treat to be able to cover our terminal end. Obviously shrinking this down makes it a bit of a challenge because of close proximity with everything else, and with the heat gun there's potential to burn. Our ratchet again, aiming for the blue. That's terminated. I can now add a piece of heat shrink and hopefully get that down. Although I feel it might be a challenge. Unless I can get some more cable. So obviously want to try and protect what I'm working with. I'll put the heat gun on low. Few seconds. That terminal is protected well now at the bottom. So I can now remove my screw. Screw through, push back in the slack, back into behind your board, now as you can see terminal's protected with a heat shrink. It's fed through the back of the board. That cable behind will be managed properly. Our black for this cable can be fed to this point. These fuse boxes are great because they have your positive side and a negative rail also. I believe you can get them up to 12 way, so a good bit of kit worth considering. And then we continue the process for the remainder of the cables. Okay, so we've completed terminations of our 12-volt devices that can be powered by the leisure battery, terminated the earths and the lives. We'll now need to get a live to the breaker, out the other side to the leisure battery, and the earth from this fuse box fed through to the leisure battery. And likewise with our 240, that needs to be completed also. Okay, so once in position, the board within the cover will look something like so. Fixed in 3 positions, so it won't be able to move. Consumer unit at the bottom, breaker and a 12-volt fuse box at the top. A smart install. everything accessible, everything in view. If it was on the side walls, customers and anyone inspecting could have problems. So there we are with the electrics covered, the electrics panel. As I said, you can make it as easy or as complex as you wish. The key goal is to arrange your components in a visible way for anybody that wishes to look at it, and also to work with your space. You know, the vans of today seem to be having less and less room because there's more space that's required for their needs and lifestyles. So that is certainly something we can think about. You know, the next part of this will be installing the rock and roll bed, and then we can look at installing the leisure battery, the C-check charger, as well as the AC to DC charger, the Numax 10 amp. So once again, thanks for watching. I hope it's useful. You know, and these videos become informative, and share them, comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know, it all helps. And yeah, happy building.